This is from Consciousness series, Evolution of Consciousness by Tarkam Seradarian, Volume 1. So there are actually 3 books. Every student should read these 3 things. Volume 1 is titled Consciousness, Evolution of Consciousness. In this volume, Tarkam discusses consciousness as the light of the human soul, and then moves on to explain consciousness from the angles of how to develop it, how it is expanded or contracted, how it evolves, how it is hindered, and the most important concepts in these books are what is sanity and insanity, what are our duties and responsibilities, and more. A most compelling section in Volume 1 contains the discussions about relationship of the heart of consciousness and our relationship to the whole world. So this is what is all about Volume 1. Okay, so actually this is the book. I think you can see. So from this, I would like to take today. We'll speak about. We should understand very thoroughly. There is a very important word in everybody's life, and that process or that word we'll discuss today is chapter 19, unexpectedness. So we'll be discussing this chapter, and if time permits, we'll go with another concept also. But today concept is the science of unexpectedness from Tarkam Seradarian's work, from Consciousness 1, Evolution of Consciousness is what we'll be discussing today. So I would like to read this chapter and try to explain things to you. Unexpectedness is a very strange subject. I try to approach unexpectedness in many ways so that it has a meaning for us. First, I found out that Buddha was the first one to develop that science. It is a great science, the science of unexpectedness. Buddha had 500 arhants, which means advanced disciples. He used to go suddenly to visit them to find out what they were doing at what time. For example, in their kitchens, in their homes, in their different occupations, in their pleasures, in their study, in their teaching. Every time he went to visit them, he found a new revelation about people. For example, he had some advanced disciples. When he visited them, he saw that they were like children. They had no solemnity, no beauty. He did not criticize them, but he watched them. He went to their rooms and found everything scattered, everything unorganized. So Buddha looked at the arhants who were sitting in front of him, doing meditations and other exercises. But in the meantime, he went to see them in other places. Many times he was disappointed, but because of the sudden visitations of Buddha, the disciples developed an awakeness and readiness, a readiness. Buddha said, there is no greater discipline than the discipline of unexpectedness, to push people, to make people strive, to make them alert to what they are doing, why they are doing it, how they are doing it. Eventually, these 500 arhants grew so great, so beautiful, that they were like torches everywhere. Until the end of his life, He checked them. He did not let anyone go unchecked. That was the technique that led to readiness. This was the science that Buddha, for the first time, brought out to the world and developed with his arhants. But this development, this science is not given in written language. It is in the atmosphere. It is in the minds of the people. Those who like to develop this science slowly must penetrate through meditation and find out what it is. It is a supreme science to make people ready for life. It is the supreme science to make people be unmoved in victory or defeat, in success or failure. It is a supreme science to realize your inner self. Then the inner self, neither in defeat nor in victory, is changed. It is the same self. It is the same rock upon which you can stand. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is discussed further in different ways. It says that whoever lives indifferent to victory and to defeat, to pleasures and pains, that man is an achieved man. He is not swayed by the events, by the waves of the earth, by the waves of life, knowing that every wave that is coming is an unexpected wave, but that unexpected wave is one that he put into action in the past. It is a beautiful science, and through it, we are going to develop slowly by being indifferent to life events. So, one method is unexpectedness in life events. For example, today, that cowboy is very happy singing, is very rich, and suddenly horse dumps him and is paralyzed to the neck. This is unexpected. He never expected that that beautiful horse that he loved so much would dump him, or that suddenly he would win a lottery, $1 million, $10 million. This is another unexpected event. These unexpected events are both beautiful, ugly, dark, light, but through them, something is happening that we are not yet seeing yet. Every life event that comes to us, for example, an accident, or in the other direction, big money, a fortune, is doing something to us. But this is so slow that we do not see the reality. It makes us indifferent. It makes us eventually, slowly indifferent to the changes of life. In one life, you are paralyzed. In another life, you are dynamite. When you see this in the perspective of one life, it does not make sense. But if you see these events over 3, 4, 5 lives, you see that you are going through darkness, through light, through darkness, through light. But something is happening. You are cooking. Then you will say, $5 million, hell with it. So what? I lost 10 million. So what? Do you see what is happening? You are developing tremendous indifference. Why are you developing indifference? It is because your real self is above defeat and victory. Eventually, we are coming to that, but the lessons of life are in such small dosages. Because we can assimilate only a small dosage, we do not understand the whole message of the life, because we cannot assimilate the wholeness of the life. We cannot see it, but it is accumulating, making us divinely above failure and defeat, victory or defeat, pain and suffering. One life you marry and your life is beautiful. Then your wife develops a sickness and it goes the other way. You do not know what to do, but you are going to develop total indifference, doing your best at the moment, standing above it, because above it, it is yourself. You are going to, from this way, from that way, enter into self. Health problems are so interesting. You are healthy, happy, dancing, shouting. The next moment, life hits you. You develop a cancer, you develop a serious sickness, and then you go through it. Sometimes you you go 50 years through it, 10 years through it until you die. If you see that moment, that accident in the perspective of one short life, you are lost in it. Wait, next morning, next incarnation, next opportunity, the new waves will come. What waves are coming? What sickness and happiness? How is this sickness coming? You planted them at various times. In various lives, you planted them, and whatever you sow in your life, you will reap. It is coming. Now, most of you are happy. Unhappiness is going to come. Then happiness is going to come. Then unhappiness is going to come. Then happiness is going to come. And then you are saying, so what? To hell with happiness and unhappiness. It is so interesting. Eventually, you are finding your freedom between these two extremes. They asked the master, what is the greatest freedom that man can achieve? He said, the freedom from two extremes. It is not freedom of speech, not freedom of what you want to do, and so on. It is not freedom to write or not to write. They are all included there, but they are so small and insignificant compared to the major freedoms that you gain when you overcame two extremes, luxury and poverty, beauty and ugliness. Actually, what is happening is very interesting. If you psychologically examine this, you will find out that both defeat and victory are within you. Both beauty and ugliness are within you. When you are responding to the life with beauty, you are bringing beautiful things into your life and you are blooming. But wait, you are going to pay for the ugly part of you. Then ugly part is drawing ugliness and then beauty. Ugliness, beauty, ugliness, beauty. And then you are saying, what is this? Eventually, you are mixing beauty and ugliness, defeat and victory together and making one soup. Do you understand? You are not affected by the pairs of opposite, by two extremes that can happen in your life anytime, anywhere. When you are sitting here, you must be alert. I am here. Very good. Tomorrow they can take me to the hospital and I am paralyzed. That is it. The next day I resurrect. Anything is possible. When the beauty hits you and health hits you, you do not think that you are going to stay in it forever. When disease hits you, do not think that it is everlasting. It is time related. The tide comes and passes. The tide comes and passes. Eventually, you are cooking. Your character is building. That character is to create the unchanging one within you, that neither in defeat nor in victory you will praise yourself or defeat yourself. You will say, yes, this is one lesson. Yes, that is one lesson. Did I create the character of changelessness? Slowly, slowly, in one life, you develop 10% wisdom. In another life, you develop 20%. In another life, you lose everything and start from the beginning. This is the life panorama. So you are going to see things. When you see these things, then life has no power over you. Real leaders are those leaders who are not swayed by right and by left, but they know their path and follow the path. That is why it is very important to have decisions, plans, purpose, and never to give up. Either you are paralyzed or you are okay. If you cannot do something with hands, with body, you will do it with mind. If you cannot do it with mind, your spirit will do it. This is spirit above matter. We are talking about the unexpected events of the physical, emotional, and mental planes. It is not us. Now, if you can reach to that conclusion, to that consciousness, that this is not me, this is only physical, emotional, mental, it is not me, I am everlasting in all these phenomena, that makes you the victorious one. Personalities in our life, sometimes unexpectedly a woman, a man come and meet us. Always the test is to two sides. A man comes and is so beautiful. He gives light, he gives teaching, he gives energy to all your purpose of life. And another man comes and saps them, saps, destroys them. Behind these two actions, you are going to follow your inner instinct, which path to follow, how to handle the left hand, how to handle the right hand. Again, it is a tremendous stress on your discriminative power, the power of indifference. How am I going to handle this sudden revelation of an enemy, a sudden revelation of a friend? How did it come into my life? You planted it. Never anything comes to your life that we did not plant. It is an organized, arithmetical, geometrical universe. People are suffering and not seeing the real issues, what is happening. When you are sitting there, imagine that beautiful friends will come to you, but nasty ones will also come to you. How to handle this too, so that you do not lose your balance? Balance is freedom. We can talk about it for hours. Balance is freedom between two extremes, looking at both sides and recognizing the beauty of both sides. This devil is coming to clean something in your nature. This beautiful angel is coming to add something to your nature. Both are beautiful. Eventually, you reach that conclusion and you step one step ahead of your initiation. Spiritual events happen. You can have a sudden expansion of consciousness and you see that life in a new light. You see the stupidity of drinking and doping and you take a new orientation. You see a dream that warns you or shows you a new direction to be taken. These are unexpected events that come into your life. The spiritual revelation, sudden events happen. They reveal themselves slowly to you and you see the physically, emotionally, mentally, you are in danger and enter into a new consciousness. Spiritual events are very, very beautiful. In spiritual events, suddenly you hear a voice calls you. Listen very carefully. In that voice, you hear that you are going to dedicate everything to some great cause. Your mind is not ready and you make extreme efforts to overcome these weaknesses within you so that you reach and are ready to serve that call. This does not happen to everybody, but it may happen. Those who have a very sensitive nature eventually communicate with other worlds and the other worlds guides them. Eventually, we realize that all the physical, emotional, mental activities that we are involved in are not real. There must be a purpose, a reality behind them. For what reason are we doing all these things? Then packing ourselves into a coffin. What is the purpose? The purpose is that you are going to search all these areas of life for the unchanging one that is within you. If you find that unchanging one, then victory and defeat, richness, poverty are the same for you. Actually, the richness of life will flow around you, not for you, but so that you serve through it all those people who need it. There is another unexpectedness that I hope you will understand. In each of us, in each of you, there is a presence. You do not expect him, but he sees everything you are doing here. That unexpected one is within you in every transaction, in every action, in every word, in every thought, in every vision and plan that you have. It is there watching you. If you develop this science, you will eventually live in the presence. This is the supreme science. What I am saying now, what I am doing everywhere, what am I feeling, thinking, visualizing everywhere, in everything is totally watched. If I am watched, I must be 100% ready to be watched. It is so beautiful. That is the science of presence, which comes from the science of unexpectedness. A little thought in your mind, a little doubt in your mind, a little hatred in your mind, a little trick in your mind is unexpectedly watched by the presence. Great ones taught us to develop that science of the presence. I am sitting at my desk writing this letter, talking on the phone. How am I doing? Am I watched by that presence? How am I writing this letter? It happens to me sometimes. I am tired and somebody writes a letter to me. There are 20 questions in it. My goodness, 20 questions just now. Then I say, calm down. Maybe these 20 questions are 20 bits of advice for you, or they are evoking 20 answers. I get the letter in my hand and I feel I am watched. That is the difficulty. I start writing something and the present says, it is no good. I do not have time, but you are going to do for the next 2 hours. Okay, I write the letter. I start to answer the questions one by one. Then the letter is finished. I say, I finished it. Then the presence says, read it again. Do not give me trouble, I say. I read it again and again, unwillingly, resistantly, but eventually accepting it and then lovingly finishing it. I then see the whole discipline in it, how the presence is disciplining me. This is the supreme science, says the Tibetan master. And if you can develop it, do not hesitate. In every minute, in every event, you are ready. You do not hide for 10 minutes and come back. That ruins your life. The negative things in our life are the accumulations of those moments in which we escaped from ourselves. We should walk right. Do you understand that? We get in depressed moments. These moments are an accumulation of all those moments when we do not face ourselves. We escaped from ourselves, escaped from the presence. We must do these exercises sometimes by yourself. Sometimes when you are so happy, think about rainy days. It is very important. What will you be if suddenly you do not have anything and are thrown into a hospital or somewhere? What will happen? Do not go too deeply into it because there is a danger there. Psychologically, you can tune to the dark area of thought forms and bring them. But with good things, open your imagination. What good things happen when I am in the miserable condition? Visualize health, happiness, beautiful friends who are coming and giving you life, happiness, and joy. Imagine these things, flowers, trees, birds, these kinds of things. Slowly try to do these exercises in your mind, because by doing these exercises, you prepare yourself to live indifferently. But it is not indifference in the dictionary meaning. Let us define indifference. You are not moved in extreme situations. You are the same honest, simple man or woman. If you somebody if somebody makes $50,000, he is something. What happened to him? Now he made money. So what? Tomorrow you will see that you do not have a penny. Wait for it. The honest man, the man who has learned the science of unexpectedness and the science of indifference, is the same man. He is defeated to the death. Everybody beats him, really beat him. He is exhausted, but he is the same loving man. He loves you. He talks to you. He says, so what? This is one of the huge waves that came and dumped me. In the next wave, I will be on the top. This is beautiful advice, the most easy to preach, but it is the most heavy thing to do. It is not easy what I am talking about. The moments of indifference accumulate. Slowly, they accumulate and build your character. You love people who are sane in defeat or victory. In victory, such a person does not lose his mind anymore. Ah, everything is okay. In defeat, he does not lose. He is the same man on whom you can depend. Unexpectedness leads you to eventually to divine indifference. When you live under the all seeing eye, all actions, feelings, and thoughts will reflect readiness. So, this is what is the science of unexpectedness, or the chapter 19, unexpectedness teaches. This is the most important chapter. Everybody should read it from uh, Consciousness, Volume 1, Evolution of Consciousness. Most important word in one's journey is unexpectedness.